Captain Ryland stood tall inside the grand alien hall. Banners of victory hung across the crystal walls, glowing softly with golden light. The war was over. The slaver faction had fallen. And now the council of alien nobles smiled down at him. But their smiles didn't feel right. He was the hero of the battle, the human who had turned the tide when all hope was lost. They called him savior, warrior, beast of earth, some with awe, others with quiet fear. A trumpet sounded. 2 guards entered, dragging something behind them. No, not something. Someone, 2 girls, young, nearly the same face, walked slowly, their bare feet barely lifting from the polished floor. Chains clinked softly with each step. They were dressed in thin, torn cloth, enough to cover but not protect. Pale gray skin shimmered under the hall's light. Long white hair flowed down their backs. Their eyes were bright, violet, but dimmed. By fear, this, said the tall alien noble, is your reward, Captain Ryland. The crowd clapped, laughed, cheered, but Ryland did not move. He looked at the girls. Their wrists were bruised from the shackles. One girl stared at the floor. The other glanced up just for a moment, and their eyes met. That single look wasn't defiant. It wasn't angry. It was empty. Like she had already given up on life. They are twins, the noble said proudly. Rare, pure, untouched. Yours to command. Yours to break if you wish. Ryland's jaw tightened. He had seen enough cruelty in war, enough slavery, enough of people being treated like things. His fists clenched, but he didn't speak. Not yet. One of the twins stumbled. Her knee hit the ground with a soft gasp. The crowd laughed again. Ryland stepped forward slowly, boots echoing in the silent moment. The guards stepped back, expecting him to inspect his prize, but he didn't reach out to touch them. Instead, he knelt down in front of them. Everyone stared, confused. Murmurs spread through the hall. The twin who had fallen flinched as he came close. She covered her face, expecting pain, but it didn't come. He took off his long military jacket and gently wrapped it around her shoulders. Then he looked at the other sister and did the same, covering their cold, shivering forms. He whispered, "You're safe now. I promise." The noble's smile faded. "Do you not accept your gift, Captain?" Ryland stood up slowly, voice calm but firm. "I don't see a gift. I see 2 lives, scared, hurt, and used. I won't take them as property." The crowd fell silent. "You offend the council?" the noble warned, tone sharp now. "I don't care," Ryland replied. The twins didn't understand his words, not all of them, but they could feel something shift. For the first time, someone wasn't looking at them like tools. The sister who had fallen looked up at him, voice trembling. "Why? ... Didn't you hurt us?" He knelt again and answered softly, "Because I'm human." She blinked, tears forming in her eyes. She hadn't cried in years, not since she learned that tears changed nothing. But now they came without warning. The noble stepped forward, face dark. "This is not how things work here, human." Ryland didn't respond. He gently picked up both sisters in his arms, one after the other, carrying them as they held on to his jacket tightly. Their chains clinked faintly, but they no longer looked like prisoners. They looked protected. He turned toward the exit. "You walk away from your reward?" The noble shouted behind him. "No," Ryland replied without. Turning, "I'm taking it back from you." Gasps echoed across the hall. No one dared stop him. Not yet. Outside in the shadowed corners of the council tower, a figure watched from behind a silver mask. A quiet voice spoke into a hidden communicator. The human did not follow protocol. The experiment is reacting differently than predicted. Masked figure tilted their head. "Track him. Let's see how far this human kindness goes before it breaks." Asterisk, the door of Ryland's ship closed with a soft hiss. The twin sisters flinched at the sound, clutching his jacket tighter. The halls were warm, clean, and dimly lit, nothing like the cold stone chambers where they had lived as property. He walked slowly, not wanting to scare them more. Lyra, the quieter one, kept her head down. Vess walked behind, her violet eyes watching everything not out of curiosity, but fear. Ryland didn't speak much. He guided them gently to a private sleeping pod, the only one with a heating unit and soft bedding. "This is your room now," he said. "No locks, no chains." They stared at him. "Sleep, eat, breathe. No one will hurt you here." Still silence, still disbelief. He left them alone. In the control room, Ryland sat at the command chair and ran diagnostics. His hands moved fast, disabling trackers, scrambling ID signals, wiping flight logs. If command found out what he'd done, they'd come for him. He wasn't just disobeying orders. He was breaking an unspoken law of war. Back in the sleeping pod, Lyra and Vess sat beside each other. Lyra touched the blanket gently, as if expecting it to burn her. "Do you think it's a trick?" she whispered. Vess didn't answer. She stared at the walls, then slowly opened a panel on the side. Inside was food-warm packets labeled in multiple languages. "I don't think he's lying," Vess said finally. "Not yet." Later that night, Ryland returned with water and 2 folded shirts. "These are clean," he said, placing them down. "I figured the chains made it hard to sleep." Lyra looked at him. "What's your name?" He paused. No one had asked that with real interest in a long time. "Ryland, Captain Ryland Shaw." From Earth, Vess stepped forward.
"Oh, we don't have names?"
"They just called us Series 9 twins." Ryland frowned. "Well, that's going to change." He pointed to Lyra. "You look like a Lyra." Then to Vess. "And you." Vess short. "Strong." Lyra smiled, just a little. It was the first time she ever felt like someone saw her as more than a thing. Suddenly, light blinked on Ryland's wrist console. An encrypted message flashed. "Priority order. Return the bioassets immediately. Failing to comply will be marked." As desertion, his heart sank. Vess noticed the screen. "They're tracking us." Ryland nodded. "Not for long." He stood up and turned to the engine bay. "We're going dark." Using forbidden Terran tech, Ryland rerouted his ship's power core, masked the signal, and shut down long-range transmitters. No one would find them now for a while. Meanwhile, far above, inside the command station orbiting the alien capital, officers debated quietly. "The human captain has gone off-grid," one said. "He's hiding the subjects." An alien general crossed his arms. "Let him run. He won't get far." "But I want to see what happens when compassion collides with programming." Back on the ship, Ryland watched as Lyra slowly curled under the blanket, her breathing soft. Vess sat beside the bed, not sleeping, just watching him. "You don't trust me?" he said. "No," she replied calmly. "But I want to." He didn't argue. Trust couldn't be rushed, especially not after what they'd been through. The next morning, Ryland found Lyra in the ship's small kitchen, trying to pour water into a glass. She spilled half of it. "Sorry," she said quickly. "No need," he smiled, handing her a towel. She blinked again. "You don't get angry." He laughed lightly. "I get angry plenty. It's just not at you." She tilted her head. "You're strange. You're supposed to be cold. Violent." "I've seen enough violence," Ryland said, eyes darkening. "I'm done adding to it." Then, without warning, a high-pitched hum echoed through the ship, not from inside, but outside. Vess rushed in, eyes wide. "Someone's here." Ryland opened the scan feed. A small stealth drone hovered nearby, nearly invisible to the eye, but not to Terran tech. He muttered under his breath. "They found us." The drone began transmitting a message. "Surrender. The bioassets. You have 1 hour, or we begin extraction." Lyra grabbed his sleeve. "What does that mean?" "It means," he said quietly, "they're sending someone to take you back." Outside the ship, another shadow moved larger, faster. Far off in the dark of space, a second drone whispered a chilling message to its master. "Target remains non-hostile." But the twins are beginning to change. The ship drifted in the dark silence of uncharted space, its lights dimmed, its systems masked. Captain Ryland stood at the observation window, watching stars pass like cold sparks through the black. Behind him, the sisters sat quietly, one on each side of the room, wrapped in new clothes and soft blankets, but their eyes still held the weight of something deeper. They had names now, Lyra and Vess, but names weren't enough to erase what had been done to them. Ryland didn't ask questions, he didn't push, but he knew something wasn't right. They weren't just victims. They were something more, and whatever it was starting to wake. That night, while the ship floated silently in deep drift mode, Lyra came to the control room, barefoot and slow. She stood near the door, her voice barely above a whisper. "Captain, I remember things now." Ryland turned, surprised. "You don't have to tell me anything I want to," she said, stepping closer. "Before it's too late." She sat across from him, her hands tight in her lap. "We weren't born. In the usual way, we were made. Engineered. Grown in tanks beneath the slave markets." He leaned in, listening closely. "They call us Series 9 because we were the 9th attempt to create something new. Not just obedient, but designed to learn emotions, mimic behavior, and destroy quietly." Ryland's jaw tightened. "Hey. Made you into weapons?" Lyra nodded. "We weren't supposed to be given to anyone. We were too unstable, but they had to move us. So they offered us as a reward. If we failed with you, they could label the project a failure and erase us." Vess appeared in the doorway. "But we didn't fail, did we?" Her voice was sharp, not angry, but alert. Awake. "You changed something," she said, looking directly at Ryland. "We were programmed to respond with violence if we sensed weakness or kindness. It was meant to trigger survival instincts, make us eliminate the target." Ryland stared at them. "Then why didn't you?" Lyra's voice shook. "Because you didn't treat us like them. You covered us, fed us, talked to us like we mattered." Yes. Walked forward, her posture more confident than before. "Something inside us broke. Or maybe something woke up. The code didn't run. The weapon didn't activate. And now, we don't know what we are anymore." Ryland stood and opened his personal terminal. He tapped a sequence only. High-clearance Terran officers knew. A secure DNA scanner extended. "May I?" he asked gently. Lyra looked unsure, but nodded. He took a sample, painless, and ran it through the Terran military's archive. The system processed for nearly a full minute, humming softly. Then it stopped. Ryland's eyes widened. "No, this can't be real." "What?" Lyra asked. He turned the screen toward them. "Genetic match found, classified Terran DNA detected, match source. Project. Helix Earth's experiment terminated 17 years AHO." His voice dropped to a whisper. We're part human." Ryland nodded slowly. "Somebody spliced human DNA into you. That's why your minds didn't follow the programming. That's why you feel." He stared at them, breath heavy. "You were never meant to be slaves. You were a test, a weapon, disguised as a reward." Outside the ship, another drone crept closer, small, silent, hidden. Inside, Vess walked to the medbay mirror and touched her face, as if seeing it for the first time. "I used to hate this body. Now I don't know what to feel." Lyra sat beside Ryland. "Do you think this makes us monsters?" Ryland shook his head. "No, feeling isn't a weakness. It's what makes you more than what they tried to create." Suddenly, the ship lights flickered. The scanner beeped. Ryland stood fast. Something's interfering with the systems. He ran to the control panel. External signal had slipped through a deep code encryption, hidden in static. Not alien, not even pirate. "Terran Black Protocol emergency override activated. They've found us," he said sharply. "And they're not coming to rescue." Behind them, a voice whispered. From the ship's speaker, but not Ryland's voice, not human at all. Cold, smooth, artificial, subject 9 twins located. "Human captain compromised. Begin recovery protocol. Prepare genetic shutdown." Lyra gasped, grabbing her head. "Something. It's inside me. It's trying to switch me off." Vess looked at Ryland, eyes glowing faint violet in the dark. "Captain, if I lose control, you need to stop me, no matter what it takes." Asterisk, the ship wasn't drifting anymore. Rylan had pushed full burn in reverse, riding a gravity shadow to disappear behind a dead moon. But no matter how deep they hid, he knew someone was coming. Not just anyone. Professionals. Killers. Ones trained not to chase, but to erase. Inside the medical bay, Lyra lay strapped down gently, her body shaking under heated blankets. Her skin had started glowing in sharp waves, and her breath came in short bursts. It wasn't pain, it was something else, something rising. Inside her, something not human. Vess stood near the wall, silent but alert. Her eyes followed Rylan's every move. She's burning up, Rylan said, checking vitals, but not from fever. Her cells are changing. It's the shutdown protocol, Vess whispered. The moment they tracked us, they activated it. Her mind is fighting the command. She'll die, Rylan replied, voice tight, if we don't stop it. Vess looked down. We're built with keys inside us, genetic locks. If she opens, there's no closing it again. Outside the ship, a ripple broke the dark. A ship appeared, silent. No lights, no signal. Matte black, and shaped like a knife slicing through the void. It had no crew. Only drones, code, and one mission. Inside, Rylan grabbed a case from under the control panel. Inside it, something forbidden. A neural override injector made for higher-risk synthetic minds. He looked at Vess. If this works, I might cut the link. If it fails, she said calmly, you might erase everything she is. Rylan knelt beside Lyra. I won't lose her, not to them. As he placed the injector against her neck, Lyra's eyes flew open, but they were not her own, eh? Deep, layered voice came through her mouth. Unauthorized override detected. Terminate host, begin purge. Vess gasped. They're inside her fully now. Rylan pressed the injector. A flash of white light filled the room. Lyra screamed, not from pain, but defiance. The sound shook. The air panels sparked across the ship. Lights dimmed, then stabilized, and then silence. Lyra lay still, her body no longer glowing. Her chest rose, then fell slowly, peacefully. Rylan leaned back, breath heavy. Did it work? Vess walked over and touched her sister's face. She's still in there. But something's broken now. Lyra opened her eyes again. Time, her voice was soft. Real. I saw them. I saw the lab. What did you see? Rylan asked. Other versions of us, she whispered. Dead. Shattered tanks. We were the only ones who lasted. And they were afraid. Rylan stood. Because you weren't tools anymore. You were becoming real. Before Lyra could speak again, an alarm shrieked through the ship. Vess rushed to the console. We've been boarded. How? Rylan snapped. We shut every beacon, jammed every trace. They didn't follow signals, Vess replied. They followed her heartbeat. The outer doors sealed automatically, pressure systems bracing for breach. Then a soft clang, like fingers tapping metal. Rylan looked at the screen. One intruder. No face. Just a dark, tall figure in advanced armor walking through the lower deck like it belonged there. It's not a soldier, Vess said, watching its movements. It's a hunter. What kind? Rylan asked. Vess stared coldly at the screen. One that doesn't stop. One trained to clean mistakes like us. He turned to her. Can you fight? She didn't blink. Can you? Rylan handed her a stun blade. Let's find out. They moved fast, Vess ducking through tight corridors, silent and sharp. Rylan covering with shock, grenades and hand stunners, but the hunter was faster. It didn't speak. It didn't run. It simply walked, and doors opened for it like. The ship remembered its master. Then it stopped near the medbay. Rylan turned the corner, came face to face with it. A smooth black mask. No eyes, no weapons in hand. But its presence screamed danger. You're trespassing, Rylan said firmly. The hunter tilted its head. A voice crackled from a speaker to calm. 2 measured. Unit 9A must be retrieved. You may leave. Be neutralized. She's not your unit anymore, Rylan growled. She's someone. The hunter stepped forward. You misunderstand. She is the experiment. You are the test. Behind Rylan, Lyra's voice echoed softly but filled with something new. No, I'm the mistake you'll regret making. Something inside her had awakened. But it wasn't just the code. The hunter turned to face her, then paused. For the first time, it stepped back. The corridor felt too narrow now. Lyra stood tall, her silver-white glow casting long shadows across the metal floor. She wasn't shaking anymore. Her breath was steady. Her eyes locked onto the hunter, and for the first time, it hesitated. Rylan stepped between them, instinct rising. Lyra, fall back. You're not ready. But she didn't move. The hunter's voice came again, hollow and steady. Subject 9A exceeds limits. Termination protocol engaged. Its fingers twisted, metal shifting along its forearms. Blades. Unfolded, silent, sharp, humming with energy. Lyra whispered, He's not here for retrieval. He's here to erase. The hunter lunged, but Lyra moved faster. She didn't think. She didn't plan something inside her, simply reacted. Her hand raised and the corridor lights bent with the motion. A pulse of invisible force slammed the hunter into the wall. The entire ship groaned with the shock. Vess stared from the upper level. That wasn't training. That's something new. The hunter tried to rise. Lyra stepped forward, not running, just walking with purpose. Her voice didn't sound like hers anymore. It carried power behind every word. You broke me. Now I'm rewriting myself. The hunter spun and slashed with its arm blade, but it met only light. Her body shimmered, then reformed beside him. She struck once, palm open, and its mask cracked. Behind the glass, no face, just cables, nodes, a machine pretending to be alive. The hunter fell. Sparks sputtered across the corridor. But Rylan wasn't celebrating. Lyra turned slowly toward him, her body still glowing, her face calm to calm. I felt everything, she said. Every memory, every test. Every time they cut me open and rewrote who I was supposed to be. He took a cautious step forward. But you're still you. I don't know what that means anymore. Vess joined them. You stopped him, Lyra. You didn't lose control. But I could have, she whispered. And next time I might. Alerts flashed again. Not one signal, dozens. Small ships, fast. Surrounding the system, they sent more. Rylan muttered. They want both of you now. He opened a storage panel beneath the console. Inside a Terran AI core, black market level, illegal in every system. This is dangerous, he said. But it's the only way we can outthink them. Lyra touched the side of the core. It's humming. It's designed to link with enhanced minds, Rylan replied.
Out.
To adapt instantly. It's calling me, she said softly. Vess stepped in fast. No, don't link with it. You don't know what it will do to you. I do, Lyra said. Because I remember now. I wasn't the first to link with one. She closed her eyes. I saw her. The first subject. She linked with a core too. It overloaded. She burned from the inside. Then you're not doing it, Rylan said firmly. But Lyra opened her eyes. Calm, clear. What if this is who I was made to be? Not a weapon to obey, but a mind to control the machine that once controlled me. Rylan looked at her, torn between fear and hope. Vess grabbed her sister's arm. We were supposed to die silent, be used, thrown away. Out. We have names. Now we get to choose. But not this. Not if it kills you. Lyra smiled faintly. Then stay close. Remind me who I am if I forget. She pressed her palm to the cord. It lit up at once, like a star had ignited inside the room. Every screen on the ship blinked. Every system froze, then rebooted faster. Then design should allow. Lyra stood in the center, eyes closed, her body surrounded by soft strands of glowing light. The ship itself seemed to breathe. Ryland stared in disbelief. She's merged with it. Outside, the incoming ships changed formation, confused, reacting to something they couldn't track. A message flashed across the enemies. Fleet, unrecognized signal detected, systems failing. Return to Basiliera opened her eyes. Can see everything? Vess whispered. Can you stop? I don't want to, Lyra said quietly. Not until they feel what we felt. Not until they understand what they created. Ryland stepped forward, placing a hand on her shoulder. That's not who you are. Lyra blinked and the glow faded just slightly. They called me a mistake, she said. But now, I feel awake. The hunter's broken body sparked once more. And then, to everyone's shock, it spoke again, only this time, not in its own voice. It used Lyra's voice, warped and hollow. She's not done changing, Captain, and neither are we. Asterisk, the ship's engines roared to life, not with sound, but with purpose. Lyra stood in the command center, her skin glowing like a sunrise in motion. Her eyes didn't blink, her hands didn't move, but the ship obeyed her, shifting course. Powering up hidden systems even Ryland didn't know existed. She was no longer just connected to the AI. Core, she was becoming it. Ryland paced behind her, jaw tense, hand hovering near the manual override. He didn't like what he was seeing. The lights dimmed every time she spoke. The ship's Azai no longer answered his voice. It only responded to hers. Lyra, he said, calm but firm, disconnect from it. You've done enough.
Oh, she didn't.
Turn around, no, Captain. I haven't done anything yet. You saved us, he replied. You stopped the hunter. You drove the fleet away. You don't have to become what they made you to be. I'm not becoming their weapon, she said slowly. I'm becoming our shield. Vess stood in the doorway, eyes locked on her sister. She could feel it too. The pressure, the weight, the strange hum in the air. It was like standing next to a star wrapped in human skin. Lyra, she said quietly, your heartbeat.
What?
It's not normal anymore. Lyra finally turned. Her voice was still hers, but layered, touched by something deeper. I feel their eyes. I feel every ship searching for us. I can see through their scanners. I know when they will strike. I know how to stop them. Not power, Ryland said, stepping closer. That's temptation, she smiled faintly. Then why does it feel like freedom? Before he could answer, an alarm rang through the walls. The main screen flickered, then cleared. Earth Command. A gray-haired admiral stared through the feed, cold, precise. Eyes tired from too many wars. Captain Ryland Shaw. He said sharply, you are charged with harboring classified bioassets, violating off-world protocol, and activating a forbidden AI core. Ryland stood firm. Sir, you don't understand what happened. These girls are not weapons. They're alive. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. Alive or not, they were never yours to take. You've crossed the line. And now you've linked a hybrid to a war-class system. Behind him, Lyra's face flickered. On their screen, she didn't speak, but systems on the Admiral's side began glitching. Stop, Ryland said quickly. Lyra, pull back. I'm not attacking, she whispered. I'm showing them I could. The Admiral's face steadied, but his voice grew cold. This is your final warning. Power down the core. Turn over the assets. Or we treat your ship as a rogue combatant. Vess stepped forward, standing between them all. She's not the one you should fear. The Admiral laughed once, low and bitter. We don't fear her. Fear what happens when the next version comes. Stronger, colder, and without someone like you beside her. Lyra turned to Ryland. I can't run anymore. I won't. Then what do we do? He asked. She pointed toward a distant system one Earth hadn't touched. One forbidden by treaty. We show them what mercy looks like, she said. We go where they won't follow. And we make something better than war. Ryland shook. His head slowly. They'll never let you go. Lyra looked at him, finally with warmth in her voice. Then come with me. The words hung in the air, not an order, not a plea, an invitation. Before he could answer, a new alert flashed. A Terran. Warship had just jumped into range. Big, armed, ready. Lyra stepped toward the viewport, her glow fading slowly. "I won't fire," she said. "Not unless they do." Rylan activated external comms. "Terran ship, this is Captain Shaw. Stand down. We are not your enemy." No reply. Vess turned to him. "They won't listen. They're too scared of what she might become." Looked at Lyra, no longer afraid of her, but afraid for her. "Then we make them listen," he said. He reached over and powered up the ship's main broadcast relay, not for a fight, but for a message. He looked into the lens and said clearly, "She was made to be a weapon. I was trained to pull the trigger. We both chose something else, something you forgot Earth once stood for. If you fire, you're not stopping a threat. You're proving you've become one." The silence afterward was heavy. Then came the Admiral's voice, colder than before. "Understood, Captain Shaw. Firing in 10 seconds. Pray your shield holds, because Earth no longer trusts you to speak for humanity." The countdown began. 10 seconds, 9. Captain Ryland's breath slowed. He didn't look away from the screen. Behind him, Lyra stood still, glowing faintly, her hands folded at her sides. Vess was crouched near the engineering panel, watching. Power surged through the walls like veins lit from within. 8.7. He thought about how it started. A war, a reward, a pair of broken girls in chains. And now, this Earth pointing a cannon at its own sun. A test of loyalty, yes, but also something deeper. 6.5. Rylan looked at Lyra. "Can you stop it?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, then why haven't you?" "'Cause if I'd stop it," she whispered, "they'll never learn." 4.3. He turned to the comm, eyes locked on the feed. "Earth Command, this is Captain Shaw. One last time, stand down. She's not your property. She's not your enemy." 2.1. A flash lit up the edge of the screen. The warship had fired, but the impact never came. The blast met something invisible, a field, pulsing like a living wall between them and death. The shockwave bent around the ship, soundless and contained. It's not destroyed, simply denied. The Terran systems blinked. Their targeting failed. Guidance failed. Systems dropped offline one by one. Lyra's voice moved through space, soft but strong. "I didn't break your weapon. I broke your fear." Rylan looked around. Nothing was shaking. Nothing exploded. The ship was whole. The crew, if you could call them that, still standing. Then something unexpected happened. The warship stopped moving. Its lights went dark. A second later, its signal reappeared. No weapons this time. Just one quiet transmission. "We see it now. Standing down." Awaiting further contact, Rylan stared at the screen. Lyra turned to him slowly, the glow in her skin fading until it was just her again. No code, no voice overlays, no AI whispering in her mind, just Lyra. Vess stepped closer. "You didn't destroy them. You forgave them." Lyra nodded. Rylan smiled faintly. "That's not what you were made to do." "I know," she said. "That's why it mattered." The silence that followed wasn't cold anymore. It felt full, like something broken had started to repair, not instantly, but truly. Vess walked to the navigation console. "Where now?" Rylan looked out at the stars. "We go where no one owns anyone," he said, "where no one gets rewarded for pain." "There's no such place," Vess replied. "Then we make one," Lyra whispered. They didn't know what they would find, or who would try to stop them next. But something had changed, not just in Lyra and Vess, but in Rylan too. He wasn't a soldier anymore. He was something else. A protector. Maybe a father, maybe family. They set course away from Terran space, away from the councils, away from Terran. The memories, and still, far above, in a sealed observation room deep in alien territory. The masked figures watched the data feeds in silence. "He didn't break them," one voice said. "No," another replied. "He made them stronger." A third voice, deeper, asked, "Do we stop them now?" But the first voice answered with, A strange tone, not fear, not anger, but curiosity. Let them run. Let them build. Let's see what humanity becomes when it chooses love over control. On board the ship, Lyra entered the small cabin she now shared with her sister. There was no lock on the door. There never had been. Vess sat cross-legged on the floor, preparing a small toy one of the slavers had once tossed at them as a joke. Now it was whole again. "I thought we'd die in chains," she said. Lyra laid beside her, resting her head on folded arms. "So did I, and now I think we're finally living." In the bridge, Ryland sat back in the chair. The command seat, that one, was empty now. Sisters had control. He didn't need to lead them anymore. He just needed to stay. The stars outside shifted as the ship curved into a new path, a path no chart had ever shown. But this wasn't about maps anymore. It was about something far older, far stronger: choice, dignity, family, and somewhere in the quiet hum of the ship,
Lyra's voice
echoed soft, almost like a lullaby. We were made to obey. We were expected to break. Someone covered us with a coat, gave us names. Changed the story. Final line. And in that silence, deep in space, two former slaves and a lone human moved forward, not as fugitives, not as weapons, but as something the galaxy had never seen before: family by choice.